Welcome back to Wrapped 2019, where we are counting down the 100 best albums of this year. Be sure to send us any and all comments, questions, concerns, love, and support to our Instagram at Wrapped Podcast or Twitter at Podcast Wrapped, or email us at wrappedpodcast@gmail.com. You can also visit our website, wrappedpodcast.captivate.fm, to stream any and all episodes. And on today's episode, we are counting down albums 80 through 71. Hope you enjoy. All right, starting off this episode with number 80. Mine is going to be 7 Nights in Chicago by Daveed Diggs and Rafael Casal.
The boys.
Both of us, Ryan and I, both are big fans of Daveed and Raf because one of their work together as best friends making the amazing film Blind Spotting, which was...
if you haven't seen it, go see it, please.
Yes, it is one of the best and the most underrated films of last year, as well as Daveed's work in Hamilton, for which he won a Tony, and you can also see him in the TV show Blackish.
Yes. And Rafa's an incredible poet, if you ever need some
both of them are
amazing
poets and amazing rappers.
Yeah.
Daveed also has his own group, Clipping, which usually drops some pretty good heat.
We'll get there too.
But 7 Nights in Chicago was this like concept that they had talked about. I think it was about a year or two ago. They just kind of locked themselves in this like Airbnb in Chicago, which is one of their favorite cities outside of Oakland, and brought in a bunch of their friends, some from Hamilton, some other poets, some other singers, rappers, what have you, and just said, let's just make songs. And that's what they did. And after a long time of waiting, and since we have not gotten the third EP from Blind Spotting that we have been promised, which we are still waiting on.
We didn't forget.
We have this instead to hold us over. And it was super good. Like, the bars were bars. They had Chris Lee, who has an amazing voice, and a bunch of their other features coming in and dropping down amazing hooks, amazing riffs, and everything like that. The reason, though, it is just down on my scale is just because the cover art is super simplistic. It's just a black background with some white writing. There's not a picture or anything. It doesn't really offer a lot. Some of the more marketing and the aesthetics weren't there, which is part of my grading scale. Therefore, it's going to bring it down the list. However, the content within this simplistic package is amazing and is definitely worth a listen, and it doesn't even take that long to listen. It's a 20-minute 7-song piece, so definitely highly suggest going to check it out if you are any sort of Hamilton fan, poetry fan, or just pure rap bars fan.
If you want bars,
they spit. They're good. So that's my number 80.
All right, my number 80 is Bad Habits by Nav.
You listened to it?
I did. I listened to all 24 tracks.
It's so long.
I'm going to say this. If this album had been 12 tracks, it probably would have been in my top 50.
I believe that.
This is how you come back from just a terrible year. Because 2018 was not good to Nav. He put out Reckless, and then people just turned on him a little bit.
He's kind of like becoming like the Canadian Russ.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And I feel like, unlike Russ, I listened to this and enjoyed it.
Wow.
No hate to Russ. I respect him as a person. The grind is super inspiring, but his music does nothing for me. This, however, half of this did a lot for me.
Price on My Head with The Weeknd.
Collab with Your Boss. Best thing he could have done. Song with Gunna, too. Snap, I really liked. Rallo, I really liked. Dior Runners, I really liked. Hated Vicodin, but we don't do drugs anymore, kids. I feel like this is a thing where he kept putting on more and more. And if this was a mixtape, I feel like this would be really, really good if it at that length. But for 24 tracks, just not. It felt like a lot of filler.
Yeah.
Like he would be like hit hard, filler, hit hard, filler, hit hard, filler. And not necessarily always in that order. But I feel like if he had cut this down to maybe 12 and then maybe been like, also, here's Bad Habits Part 2 as just something extra to as a gift to the fans, I feel like that would have been cooler. But this project was good. He definitely has a very distinct sound that I enjoy listening to.
I do agree with that. He has a really interesting voice with the auto-tune and everything too.
Yeah, and he's using auto-tune well. But
he is.
I feel like this project was cool. It was just too long. Like, it took me 2 tries to listen to this.
Man, what's
all
up
the way
with
through.
Canadians and long albums, man?
I'm dead.
All right.
But
Speaking
yeah.
of Dead, number 79 is Dead the album.
Oh my god, that made me so nervous. That would segue.
No. Dead the album.
I was so scared. Okay, continue.
Number 79 is Dead the album by Breathe Carolina.
A great album. We'll get to that later.
I really enjoyed this piece. Seeing them come back for a full-length project for the first time since 2014, about 5 to 6 years there. And it goes from start to finish. It is a drive. It is just like we are moving, and I really appreciated that, like how it flowed seamlessly, and I was bopping. To me, though, the reason, I guess same thing again as 7 Nights in Chicago, album artwork and the aesthetic is pretty meh.
Yeah.
For them also being at a point where they can do a lot more aesthetically, like they have the money and the visions to. They just didn't really deliver on that. And then they also randomly DM'd me on Instagram and said, "Hey, if you follow them, if you follow Breathe Carolina's account, you automatically get a DM." What tripped me out, I was like, "Yo, Breathe Carolina's DMing me? This is awesome." Nah, it says here, go listen to her album. It's a link to Spotify. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! I didn't even know you can auto do that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But some of the more aesthetic pieces it didn't really deliver for me on, which is why I ranked it lower. But I do like this project a lot. I think it was really awesome to see them come back. I also just personally am not a big EDM person.
Yeah.
So for an EDM project for me to get high on my list, I don't think I'm at a point in my life where that's possible yet.
Okay.
I don't think any of my top 25.
I think I know why, but we'll get there in about 30
any of my
minutes.
top 25 are not necessarily what I would deem to be just traditional EDM.
Yeah.
So that's just an opinion thing for me, but this is a good project.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, my number 79 is Gunna, Drip or Drown 2.
Slap.
Slime Slap. I like Gunna. Gunna is growing on me.
I do too.
This project, I really enjoyed the fact that we did not get the first feature until 8 tracks in.
It gave him time to just be Gunna instead of be Gunna with somebody else.
Exactly.
And especially when that feature is Lil Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love his collabs with Lil Baby, but I want to see Gunna develop as an artist on his own. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this project was a very, very good step towards him being that major solo artist that I know he can be. Because he provided the hook for Hot, which is going to be probably the hottest song of this year outside of Old Town Road. I think, like, just the way that his delivery, his voice and his cadence is so distinct in this world of, like, everybody kind of not everybody, but a lot of people kind of sounding the same of this generation.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That I was like, all right, like, it's also definitely an album that you can drive to. Because he
I like that description.
Pushes, it's like it always moves forward and never stops. But it's always kind of like something that if you're just like taking a long drive one night from place to place overnight and you put this on, it's definitely something that'll kind of get you in that like nighttime, you're 7 years old in a car in a music video kind of feeling.
I like that.
I really enjoyed. Yeah.
What a visual.
Him and Young Thug need to never not collab.
Oh, 100%.
Fully, they work so well together, and I'm glad that Gunna is on Thug's label.
Mm-hmm, me too.
So that because I feel like Thug will just help him develop into his own artist the best way possible.
Yeah. Also, side note, didn't you get to technically I guess meet Gunna?
I did. Like I never talk about this, but I did a contract on a cruise ship, and my flight back from Miami to Atlanta at the end of my contract, I sat next to his videographer and right behind him.
That's funny.
He's a nice guy. It was just really interesting because I looked up and was like,
"That's
Gunna."
Gunna.
And he was like, "You want his picture?" And I was like, "No."
You're probably the first person to tell him that you don't want a picture with him.
And it was like 12:30 at night. I just wanted to go to bed, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, this is cool. I dapped him up. He's a super, super nice guy.
That's awesome.
It was really cool. It was also cool to get to see him perform at the Justin Bieber Big Tour.
That's right. You did
he
get
was
to
one
see
of
him
the special
perform.
guests. He came out, did Hot, and then he did Yosemite by himself, which was also cool because I constantly forget that he is featured on that. and he did Drip Too Hard, and I was kind of sick of Drip Too Hard before that because I hear it every day, like listening to the radio, because I still listen to the radio. I hear it every day driving to work, and I'm like, nah, cool.
Yeah, it's coming overplayed.
You can't drip too hard anymore. Like, but somehow after I saw him like come out there and just hit it, I was like, cool. I'm in. So definitely excited to see whatever he does next.
Yep, big year for Gunna. All right, so the next project that I have is the title, and then the name of the artist is such a dichotomy that I'll just say it. It's called Jesus Said Run It Back by Lil Booty Call.
Oh my God.
That's the literal artist's name. But I found this, I think it was like suggested for me, and I was like, this is a joke, right? Like this can't be real. I did not expect it to be number 78.
We need to talk about some of y'all's names.
For
just
real.
In general. Calm down, please. Stop.
I love the album artwork for this, and I love the visual, just overall look to Mr. Booty Call's aesthetic. And I actually like this project a lot. Like, I sent it to some friends of mine there, and I hadn't listened to it yet. I sent it as a joke, and they start listening. They're like, actually, this is really good. And I was like, you're kidding. So then I had to listen to it from there. And I actually liked it. It moved really quickly. Like, I listened to it twice in a row, back to back, because I was like, hold up, it's already over? Like, it's 36 minutes. It's not short nor long. It is just like, that was fast. And so I listened again. He has some slaps on this album, and he had some features that I was like, He had a Juicy J feature that was fire, and then he also featured Gold Link, and then an artist that I found recently that I love called Coco, I think that's how you say his name. He's like a Latin American artist, and they sounded great together. So Jesus Said Run It Back, like one of those albums that you go into not expecting to like, but just to kind of laugh at and be like, this is some SoundCloud rap, right? And then end up, actually, I really like this. So Jesus Said, Run It Back.
Little Booty Call.
Booty Call. All right, what you got for your 78?
This is going to be a hell of a segue, but my number 78 or whatever we are is Never Fold by Tedashii.
Oh, wow. Literally,
yeah,
Jesus did say Run It Back.
So Tedashii, member of Reach Records on their roster, longtime member of their roster, longtime player in the CHH world.
I think this is the first CHH album that we're going to be talking about.
It is.
On this
Won't
podcast.
be the last. I definitely, this was a cool project. I personally feel like it sounded a little young for him.
Interesting.
There was definitely some songs on there that brought the turn up and like did it well. But I feel like this was a project that it was the first project that we had gotten from him since 2016, which was cool to see him come back, and I enjoyed it a lot. He has like God Flex with Triple E, went off at the Unashamed Forever tour. Water's a really good song. He has some really cool features with guys that are very up and coming in this world, like 1K Phew, who is now featured on NBA 2K20 with No Big Deal, who we'll also be speaking on later.
Wait.
Their new soundtrack update features 1K Phew and No Big Deal.
For the Fieldhouse freestyle?
Not Fieldhouse. It's a 1K song.
A different one. Okay. How about this? I was like, whoa, they really, that just came out.
But I overall, I enjoyed this project. Some parts of it felt really mature, but parts of it felt like kind of youth group turn-up-y to me.
That's a good way to put it.
I feel like this was a good comeback, but I'm excited to see what he does next, if that makes sense.
For sure. Also, for those who might not essentially be aware, CHH means Christian hip-hop, and Reach Records is one of the biggest Christian hip-hop labels in that genre of music. And
Correct.
We are going to be talking heavily about a number of Christian hip-hop projects because just devoid of whatever your like religious belief is, you can't
music
deny.
Is music. Objectively.
Is objectively. And also, Christian hip-hop, it bops. Like, as a person who's not super religious, it bops.
It does.
So we're
You
going to
just
talk
gotta
about
find the
that
right
a lot.
one. Yeah.
You're going to be surprised with our lists of how deep our knowledge of this genre goes. But then, which is funny then, because we have then my next album being not really Christian at all, being Kirk by DaBaby.
Yo. Dude, we are on fire with these segues today.
Yeah, for real, we are rolling. Let's go. So number 77. This is the second full-length studio project from
The Rookie of the Year.
the Rookie of the Year, a person who has had the biggest year of his career, DaBaby. I did not listen to his first project. I wasn't really aware of him until the summer, which was after that project came out. And then, the buzz started popping up after he did that Dreamville feature on the intro of Under the Sun. I was like, yo, this man can spit. And I liked his flow because he doesn't do triplets. He will fill the triplet. Instead of going triplet, Migos, ad-lib,
Yeah.
he just is like, it's a mixture of old school and new school. And I think it's awesome.
And I love DaBaby as a person.
He's a character.
I knew of him, but I didn't start listening to him until I saw that video where that guy ran up on him at the Louis V store.
He's saying,
and he just popped him one time and beat the literal pants off of somebody and was like, I'm going to check this guy's music out. But I love his voice and
I do too.
His place right now. And the Bop on Broadway video.
Man.
I don't think I've ever been more anxious to do a dance in my life.
Yeah.
Than when I just saw him come out with that.
He's becoming such a good brand.
Yeah. Also, SNL performance. I've never seen somebody have so much fun performing on TV.
Same. And also, I think the idea of him to not use a mic that he would have to hold in his hands.
Yeah,
but
he brought back the
rock
mics,
star Britney Spears mic, which was perfect. And I think a lot more artists could benefit from doing that because they have such good energy like him.
Yeah.
But on the terms of Kirk, this album caught my attention big time when Intro, which is the first song off of it, came out as a single. Mm-hmm. And it was like really deep and fun at the same time. And then the rest of the album is just pure fun.
Yeah.
That is, though, I think why I'm putting it further down on my list, because Intro is about his father. The whole album is named after his father. I thought this was him going to be getting really deep, and then the whole album was fun. And I was like, I mean, that's cool, but I thought this was going to be a different kind of vibe than what he had been doing before, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
Not to say that that's a bad thing, because it gave us songs like Bop, Vibes, like all of them slap. But when I go back and listen to this project, I pick out songs specifically. I don't sit down and listen to the whole thing. That's just my main issue with maybe my expectation versus reality of this album. And that's why it's a little bit further down my list. But DaBaby's going somewhere.
Oh, DaBaby will be here.
He will be. This is the start of a beautiful relationship with the industry and our ears with him. Sure. So this is just a tipping point, and really, really looking forward to whatever crazy antics he's about to put on at the Grammys, because he's been nominated. I'm sure he's gonna perform.
He has to.
And he's gonna bring the energy.
Oh, for sure. All right, so my number 77 is actually dedicated to Max Menaker.
Shout out the boy.
Shout out to the homie. But it's Tovlo, Sunshine Kitty.
Oh man, this had some great producers on it.
It did. It's a really good album. I personally was not big on Tovlo.
Yeah, same.
Before, Habits was a cool song. I was like, but it was Habits. But I enjoyed this. I don't know if it's gonna be an album that I remember in 2021. But like this was a very, very solid thing. Like if it pops back up, I'm not gonna skip it. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was really cool. I loved how she got Doja Cat on there. Yeah. And Doja Cat's one of my personal favorites. This album got very deep that I didn't expect it to. But I also feel like I enjoyed listening to it and it made me feel good. And I don't know if it was supposed to make me feel good, but it did. But I think that's what music is about, is feeling. And I really enjoyed the feelings that she brought to the table for this. So that's my number 77. Short and sweet.
Man, speaking of getting you in your feelings, Nothing Gets You in Your Feelings more like some good old R&B.
Ooh.
So my number 76 is Chasing Summer by Sir. He is one of the signees to Top Dog Entertainment, which is most notable for birthing acts like Kendrick Lamar. And what caught my attention, I never sat down and listened to, anything outside of him being featured on other TDE productions before, or he's really good friends also with Anderson .Paak.
Yeah.
But he released a song called Hair Down with Kendrick Lamar, and it was awesome. Like, it had a really, really awesome Kendrick verse. It had a really great chill vibe. And then, so that caught my attention enough that I was like, you know what? I'm going to listen to this project that he's putting out, Chasing Summer. And it's good. Like, it has some other notable features from Smino and Lil Wayne and Zakari. The Zakari, as we talked about earlier in the first episode, that song called Mood with the two of them is awesome. But it feels a little bit like a one-trick pony to me at times. I was looking for another Hair Down, and I didn't really get it. I don't think there was another song besides Mood that even came close to Hair Down. And at being 14 tracks, it just kind of all stays on one note. But I think there's a point to those albums, and there's a place for them, and that, once again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, put on vinyl. Give it to me. I'm finna play that while I'm making some like pasta in the kitchen, and I'll just be vibing out. Like, it sets the mood. So it's good. It's just not amazing, and it's not an album that I came back and was like, yeah, I gotta listen to this one again. So that's my number 76.
All right, so I'm gonna come at you with another Grammy-nominated electronic album by the Chemical Brothers, and it's called No Geography. So this album, I kind of didn't really know what to expect because I'm not all too familiar with the Chemical Brothers discography.
I'm not at all familiar.
I enjoyed this. Like, I knew of the Chemical Brothers because history. But I think this album was cool. I thought it was interesting. It was very, very interesting sonically from the usual electronic music that I listen to. That is definitely more about the wubs and about being heavy and much more on the lines of dubstep. This was much more houseier, and then even beyond houseier, it was much more tech than anything that I listen to and that I enjoy. I enjoyed this. I'm not gonna lie. If you sit down and listen to it, it will get weird. Like, there are moments where you will flip back to wherever you're playing music from and be like, what is coming through my headphones right now? But definitely, I can see, technically speaking, this is very well produced. There's no elements that feel out of place. There's a lot of elements that are different and kind of not necessarily shocking, but just kind of like, I would never have thought to use that sound.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. But yeah, I can definitely see why this got nominated for that Electronic Album of the Year Grammy. And yeah, definitely a contender.
It seems like a very well-wrapped package.
It is.
It hits on like a lot of cylinders, and it's nice and tight.
Well, I don't think it's the best electronic album to come out this year.
Right.
I think it was definitely very good. Definitely worthy of that honor.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're halfway there, folks. Number 75, here we go. I've got Brent, an EP by Jeremy Zucker and Chelsea Cutler. So both of these artists are on the roster for the Visionary Music Group Management, which is the same management group that manages Logic and John Bellion, which is how that caught my attention because I'm big fans of both of those artists. And they've kind of been doing some like soft blowing up. Like Chelsea Cutler was just recently announced on the list for Hangout 2020 Festival. Jeremy Zucker had a very successful sold out tour in Asia of all places. And they said that it was in this past winter, they went to like a house, like a cabin in like a really snowed out area of like New York, like upstate New York area, I think it was. And they just recorded music in there while they were there. And it was like just them and like a videographer, I think. And they made a 5-song EP from it. And it's really pretty.
Oh, good.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like the first song, You Were Good to Me, like, that's a good one to turn on and just freaking cry. Like, it's beautiful. And they kind of go back and forth. They each have a solo song of theirs, and then they have songs together. And if it's a solo song of theirs, usually it's because the other, like, wrote it or produced it for the other. So the collaboration as a whole is great. They produced it, wrote it, and sang on it all by themselves, which is awesome. It's just, it's short, and it's an experiment.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is why it's down on my list. If this was a full-length project, like, if they went and did this again next year, I could see it being top 25.
Oh, really?
Because it's beautiful.
Okay.
It's really, really pretty. It's a good sad boy bops, good sunset, good winter album.
Sad Boy's the way for 2020.
For sure. But it's not fully fleshed out there yet. But for being 5 songs, it's number 75. I think that's an honor.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
That's really, really good.
So really looking forward to both of them becoming bigger individually and hopefully working again more in the future because apparently they're pretty good friends.
Oh, awesome. All right, so my number 75 is a band called Busted, and I have to give all credit to Miriam Tuniger for this. So, story time. Back at BSC,
which stands for Birmingham Southern College, if anyone is curious. It's a collegiate university that Ryan and I attended for 4 years.
Yeah, Panthers.
Got our undergrads in.
Shout out to the Go Panthers. Anyway, I was listening to The Year 3000 by the Jonas Brothers in the theater green room, and she walked in and said, "Ryan, I'm about to educate you." And so she did, and she showed me Busted and the OG version of Year 3000, and I saw this album popped up on my new releases, and I was like, I'm gonna listen to it, and I liked it so much. I thought it was really cool. It was very, 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 very sonically unique to me, just in this whole like pop punk Mayday Parade, the main kind of avenue. It sounded to me, and it's not a very gritty album, but to me it had this edge that I don't know how to explain, but it was an edge that I very much enjoyed. And I'm glad that they're back and continue doing things, and I hope that we get more from Busted.
So tell me about something. Okay, Year 3000 by the Jonas Brothers was released in 2006, but this Busted version was released in 2004.
Yeah.
What is this? Did they write it and then the Jonas Brothers
covered it
and
made it children friendly?
Whoa.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah. And
that's wild.
Yeah. So Busted is UK all the way.
Okay.
And so this song is not Disney Channel appropriate.
Really?
The way they wrote it.
No way.
And then the Jonas Brothers got it, released it, and the rest is history. So I remember listening to it and was like, this is different, but I love this. And so it's kind of like, I'm not going to compare them to the Jonas Brothers because that would not be fair to them.
Yeah, they're totally different.
But these kind of guys are like in the vein of like a Blink-182 almost, where they're super, super pop punk. And I feel like they could be in that like pop punk Hall of Fame almost.
Yeah.
But they just have that edge that you sometimes wish the Jonas Brothers had, but also don't because it's the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah. That's interesting. Wow, I just learned something new.
Yeah. Shout out to Miriam for...
I think that's going to shock a lot of our listeners. Like, I don't think a lot of people know that.
I had to get educated.
Wow.
Shout out to Busted.
Whoa. Yeah. Shout out to Busted.
Shout out to Miriam for showing me that first.
Yeah, for real. Okay, my number 74 is an album we've talked about already. It is While We Wait by Kalani. So I liked this obviously a little bit better than you did, Ryan. And that might be partly because I just love the features on this album.
Yeah.
Like the Ty Dolla $ign song. It's so good. Yeah. And then Black. I'm a sucker for a good feature. I also just, unlike you, I loved Butterfly. Like, it's a good song. When she said Butterfly, I was like, oh, please take my soul away. Yes, ma'am. So good.
She's a great vocalist.
But I think you have a good point about it doesn't necessarily make me feel something. It is something where I'm just trying to get into my Motown vibes, and I'm like, yeah, give me that modern like Motown R&B sound. Like, let's go. The cover art, I'm conflicted about whether I like or not. I can't tell, so I just kind of put it right in the middle. I kind of went back and forth on that for a long time, and initially this was lower for me, and then I raised it up after some other listenings to other projects. But I mean, my girl Kalani, man. We love Kalani.
What a soul.
So I'm looking forward to her next full-length project to really just Take Me and like take my heart and like rip it out, stomp it on the floor, and then put it back in.
Oh,
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. All right, so my number 74 is by an a cappella group named Home Free.
Oh man,
It's called
first
Dive Bar
acapella album.
Saints. First a cappella album. So I am a sucker for Home Free. I love everything that they've ever done. I feel like they're some of the best vocalists and vocal percussionists that exist. Adam Rupp is not human. If you ever have a chance to go see them live, do it. You will be so impressed. I feel like this album fell lower than I would have thought, just selfishly, because I was such a fan of their previous full-length album, Timeless. I feel like Timeless was the best a cappella project of the 2010s, just because it had things like Hillbilly Bone and When You Walk In, Castle on a Hill, Man of Constant Sorrow, things that they just completely took and made their own. This sonically is beautiful. Again, they don't do bad arrangements.
Right.
At all. Like,
yeah.
I just feel like I felt kind of bad because I was like, I want this to be timeless.
Yeah, you wanted to like it more. Yeah.
Because I'm selfish, but music is objective, and if you disagree with me, message me and we can talk about it.
Is this album? I know they do a lot of covers.
Yeah.
Is this original? Is this covers, or is this a mixture?
It's a mixture.
It's a mixture. How much would you say is covers?
I honestly am not as familiar with the genre of country as
That's
to
fair.
answer that question. Honestly,
That's fair.
I know
Yeah.
that it ends with "Take Me Home, Country Road."
Oh, it does. I'm seeing that now. Yeah.
But I like all of the songs are, if they were written by Home Free, they're definitely Home Free. Like Dive Bar Saints are completely original.
I like the aesthetic of this album.
It's
a lot.
really cool aesthetic. They took that aesthetic on tour.
That's cool.
Kind of built that like dive bar on stage.
That's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
And again, if you ever have a chance to go check those guys out, please, please, please go do it. They're such nice guys. They're teddy bears. Tim Faust has the deepest voice known to man. Not actually, but actually probably. I don't know if we've ever tested this.
Next to the guy from Hades Town.
I think Tim is deeper than that.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
Tim is a monster.
Wow.
Sidebar, I took Ansley Davies to go see them at the Atlanta Symphony Hall, and we sat in the very last row at the back because I waited to buy tickets, and he shook the entire building.
That's insane.
They, at the end of their most famous cover of Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash, he drops down to, which I believe is a low F sharp. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what that note is. And it shook the room.
That's wild.
And everybody knew it was coming. Like, there was a big pause right before he did it.
Yeah.
And he, like, teased it, and then he did it, and everybody just lost their minds.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an album that doesn't feel as good as the last one because it's definitely a little bit sadder in tone. But all these boys can sing. I think partly I wish that... some of the covers that they put out in between albums had made it. For example, their cover of End of the Road by Boyz II Men did not make it. And I'm sure that they had a reason for that. But I love End of the Road, their version of End of the Road. It's Sean Stockman approved, who singer from Boyz II Men. If you don't know him, what are you doing? Get familiar. But he was also a judge on the Sing Off, which is a competition that they won. So I really, really enjoyed this, and so I'm looking forward to whatever they do next because I will listen to it. Yeah, that's my number 74.
So my 73 is an album I totally thought it was just going to be like trash, that I was just going to hate, and it's Everyday Life by Coldplay. And I actually really liked this album because it had been a minute since Coldplay put out an album, their last one being... not a live album, 2015's A Head Full of Dreams, which was like pretty good. I mean, the Beyonce feature on there was great. Adventure of a Lifetime was massive and was such a good song. It was a very forgettable album for me though. And then after there,
that's interesting because I thought that album was everything that Coldplay could be and wasn't.
I just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah,
it didn't stick with me as much.
Yeah.
And then I was like going into this, they didn't they had like a single came out, and I remember listening to it like the week before this album came out, and I said, this is actually a really good single. But they didn't have an Adventure of a Lifetime thing. Like, Adventure of a Lifetime was a massive tent pole, one of the biggest songs of the year.
Still gets played.
Yes, still gets played.
Regularly.
And then going into this, they were just like, yeah, we're going to do like 2 live shows from the country of Jordan at sunrise and sunset. And I was like, what? And now they're saying they're not going on tour because they want to see greater change for and like policies for climate change, which is really cool and all that kind of stuff. But it's just like Coldplay being Coldplay.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a little too much. I mean, like, there was a child named Apple at one point. Like, it just Coldplay being Coldplay. But
yeah.
all of that aside, I liked Everyday Life way more than I thought I would. It's weird, though. Like, it is all over the place. It's technically a double album, not because it's long, but because they wanted to separate it into 2 8-track pieces that make a 16-song album as a whole.
Interesting. I like that.
I don't entirely know, like, essentially why, except for the fact that I feel like the second part of it opens with a much more classic Coldplay sound. But they had a lot of great collaborators on here, and that it's kind of an album that's genreless.
Okay.
Because it's like Coldplay alternative.
Yeah.
And then at one point there's
like a positive genreless or a genreless.
I'm going to say positive.
Okay.
Because they're really pushing the envelope on this one. Because there was literally like 2 or 3 interludes where they had people. There was one that was completely sung in Arabic.
Okay.
There's one that's completely sung in French. There's one that's sung in something I don't even know. It could have been Sanskrit. I don't know what it was. But there was all these kind of this different sounds. Parts of it sounded European. Parts of it sounded Renaissance. Parts of it sounded Middle Eastern. It was all over the place, but somehow I felt cohesive. Which shocked me. All that to say, though, it's not beyond the top 50 for me because it is an album project. The only song that really sticks with me afterwards is a song called Orphans that is a bop. It bops. It was stuck in my head. It was stuck in my head forever. The rest of it, you have to sit down and say, okay, I really want to listen to a project that sounds like, well, The World, and listen to that entire thing.
Yeah.
So that's why. But other than that, it was a really interesting effort by them. So shout out to Coldplay for still like being relevant and still making music that is pushing boundaries and not succumbing to just being stuck in like their past and stuck in one genre. Okay. And so
for sure.
I mean, if they push further on the next album and really make an album that sounds literally like The World, it could possibly like win a Grammy. So hopefully. I don't know. Check it out, especially if you're like an OG Coldplay fan. Like, really, really love to hear your opinions on this piece.
That's sweet. All right, so my number 73 album is an album that we've just recently spoke about, but it is Dead the Album by Breathe Carolina.
Oh, wow.
So coming back around really soon, which is why I was kind of silent when we mentioned it the first time. I really enjoy it. It was very well produced. And even as an album that was mainly house music, I enjoyed it. And I'm not the biggest house fan.
Yeah, I know. You're not a house guy.
Not at all.
You're not.
But I respect Breathe Carolina for the turnaround and the comeback, because this is not the Breathe Carolina that I met at Warped Tour in like 2012.
Yeah.
This is a different group altogether, and it's a different group that works well. And it's very hard to switch genres, because you've seen bands switch genres and then come back and then just not be good. While I don't think it's the best thing we've ever gotten from Breathe Carolina, agreed. I think this is very, very, very good.
Yeah, it's a great jumping off point.
Yeah, personally, just in my head, I feel like it's going to take a lot for them to get back to the level of where they were when they put out Savages way back in 2014, which kind of started to lead into that EDM-y sound, but was definitely they were still a hardcore band at the time. But I feel like this album was very, very good into kind of reintroducing their fans into a more mature Breathe Carolina. But yeah, shout out to Breathe Carolina for sticking it out, even though they just completely switched it up on everybody.
For real. So number 72 for me is going to be our second Christian hip-hop album. And it is What's Understood 1 by 1K Phew. 1K is also on the Reach Records roster as one of their newest artists in like the recent past few years. And he has this great East Atlanta sound that he's bringing into like the Christian hip hop community.
Yeah.
Like you don't really find a lot of the sounds of other hip hop pieces within Christian hip hop at times. But 1K is one of the rare few who's like, I'm going to bring a sound of Migos, Gucci Mane, Young Thug, not say curse words and stuff, and make it Christian.
Yeah, and he does it very well.
And it bops. It
Very well.
bops. It's so good. There was some great songs on here. How We Coming with Ty Brazel and What Up RG being the lead single was a bop. It's short. It's only 7 songs. His Once Understood 2 was a much more full-length project at 13 songs. He had 2 of these. That's why I said What's Understood 1, because there's 2 of them that he released this year. And with What's Understood 1, it's good. It just kind of starts and ends very abruptly for me, which is why it is the lowest ranking Christian hip hop album on my list personally. Not to say it's bad though. I personally am addicted to 1K's voice.
Yeah.
Love his voice.
1K has a great voice.
Great voice. We're going to talk about him much more in depth later. So I say we just coast on in. What you got, number 72?
All right, my number 72 is called MCID, excuse me, by Highly Suspect. I can't speak all of a sudden.
Speaking with a slur?
Slurring my words, but I'm sober. That's a bar.
That's a bar.
It's a bar. Anyway. But so I love Highly Suspect. I found them when I was making a playlist one time through their track Lydia, and I was like, I listened to that album front to back many times. Great album. Shout out to 105.7 in Atlanta for putting me onto them. And so I really didn't know what to expect from these guys.
Yeah.
Because these guys are weird. And like, not like a bad thing. It's just a fact. Like, these guys are just weird dudes. I remember watching their performance at Coachella, and in the middle of Lydia, they just stopped. Like, I was not at Coachella because I do not have money like that. But just watching it on the live stream, I remember the dude just stopped in the middle of it, just took off his pants. Like, they're just interacting. And I was like, these guys are interesting.
Yeah.
I think what we have here is the most eclectic album to come out in the past 2 years.
Wow.
I cannot, like,
that's a statement, sir.
I want to put this as a rock album, but it's poppy. He raps. Like, there's, like, weird, like, tech house elements
Talking
of this.
about genre bending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always work, but when it works really, really well.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a band that this is an album that will probably translate much better live than it does just sitting down to listen to it. But it's definitely a group that I feel like is high key on the come up. Like they've previously arrived. They're just now fully forcing their way in. They also have some very interesting features. Namely, they have Young Thug on a song.
Oh, wow.
Tokyo Ghoul with Young Thug, great song. Then the very next song is called SOS, featuring Gojira. And if you don't know who Gojira is, if you don't like metal, don't do it, because you will be scared. And
yeah, what wild going from Young Thug and
Young Thug into
metal.
Gojira, right?
Whoa.
And then later on, they have T Grizzly on the song. They cover everything in this album, and while not everything works, it is very good.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure.
I also appreciate the fact that they have an outro, like a dedicated outro to this album.
Oh man, we love a good intro outro.
Yeah.
So underutilized.
So like the intro is a song called Fly, and it's a full length song, not super specific.
Yeah.
But the outro is a very good bookend to it. It's like you have reached the end.
We love a period.
This is like roll credits. We made it. So it's definitely a band that I am scouring for tour dates and scouring for hotels to like stay in so I can see them, because I definitely feel like this is not a band that you go see and then drive home after. You go see and then you sit in a room and think about what you have witnessed. But definitely glad that they gave us something this year. It is not for the faint of heart. Let that be warned. He has a mouth on him, but it is a very fun album.
That's a good find.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. Do it, please. They're good. And if you haven't, listen to Lydia, because Lydia is an amazing song. It's very intense, and they're a very intense band. And I know this is flying it back to way back. But Lydia's a song that I think got kind of passed over in a way, because it's such a good song, but it's so out there sonically that you don't really know who to compare them to, which I think is great. Because I cannot think of a band to be like, oh, that sounds like Highly Suspect. Because Highly Suspect sounds only like Highly Suspect.
That's cool. All right. Last two. Here we go. Number 71. It's really interesting that we talked about Busted with Year 3000 in this episode, because my number 71 is Happiness Begins by the Jonas Brothers.
The Joe Bros.
Joe Bros. So, man, they had a year. Like, besides being highly successful in their own solo endeavors and being just cultural icons, especially too with who they are like married or engaged to and everything. Sucker and Cool, man, those made history, and everyone freaked out when those came out.
Yeah, I freaked out when Sucker came out.
Yeah,
I have no shame.
Everyone was freaking out when Sucker came out, and it broke like a record for like the decade of group platinum single, something like that. So then I decided, I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down. I should listen to this album, because like, who wasn't listening to this album this year? Like, you at least tuned into like some of it.
Yeah.
Coaster, man, the Roller Coaster song was Roller Coaster number 13 was so good. That's a good song, and I like their whole aesthetic of like, it's been a decade, we're older now. We are going to embrace like positivity and go for this older aesthetic about being adults, but they did like a carnival that was for the launch. Really cool stuff. Like, the marketing and their influence is fire. It's just far down on my list, just because I think the rest of the album is personally just kind of just forgettable a little bit. It doesn't stick with me. I was not an OG like Joe Bro lover. If I was like all over them, like, did I watch them on Disney Channel and was like, yeah, these guys rock? Yeah. But I just wasn't like all of them. I've never seen them in concert. I'm not one of those people. A lot of my friends, you being included, are. Yeah. So if I was in your shoes, I'd probably be like, yo, man, Happiness Begins is a bop. Yeah. But it's just that my personal nostalgic experience isn't there. So as a result, I think that a lot of people who love this album, they have nostalgia for it. And it's bringing that nostalgia back. I don't have that. So it's not super high up for me. But it's still like, it's a decent rank on my list. It is in the top 3/4. It was very much more, I think, mature songwriting for them, and I'm really just into them now more than I ever was as a kid. Yeah. So I'm really curious to see where they go. Also, their tour looked dope.
Oh man,
their tour, when they come down
was
from
really cool.
Yeah, when they drop down. Yeah. On like the little rafter thing, and like the shooting the sparks out of guitars and stuff. I was like, this is a rock star moment. But they're all wearing like crazy colored sheer suits, and I'm like, honestly,
I hope they stay together. I feel like they're better together.
They made a good point in their documentary about the Chasing Happiness documentary on Amazon, that the reason that they function so well, and because also the reason that they kind of took a hiatus, is because they are family. Yeah, they are all brothers. You can't just be like, oh, this is my bandmate, I don't want to be in a band with you anymore. Peace. No. You still come home with them at the end of the day. You still living with them. You still go home for Christmas, and they are there. Yeah. Like, you don't have a choice. So then that's what makes them stick together like glue, is that they realized that at an early stage and said, we have to find ways to make this work and compromise. Like,
I'm glad they did.
I am too.
Very glad that they did.
Super cool guys. Shout out to Joe Bros.
The Joe Bros. All right, so
take us home.
My number 71 is by a guy named LS Dream. It's called Renegades of Light.
What a title.
Very dubstep. Get this out of the way. It's dubstep. It's great.
No way.
Excellent.
I never would have guessed, bro.
What? I know, right? Surprise. But this album sonically is one of the most interesting things to sit down and listen to, because I was super unfamiliar with anything in his discography and anything in the Ellis Dream canon before this came out. And I was nervous, not gonna lie. With just going off of his name, I was just not like,
yeah, true.
I wasn't sure that this was gonna be for me. And let me tell you, this was for me. The song Eternal Now, which is featuring Champagne Drip, who's making an appearance in Birmingham, Alabama soon, is undeniably one of the best songs to come out in 2019.
Really?
I truly think so. It is.
That's
journey,
saying something.
The journey that this song takes you on. It is a song that I say you sit down and listen to it. I've listened to this in every state of being you could imagine. I have been super sober. I have been super sick. I have been super fucked up. I have just been super all everything. I sit down and listen to it, and it's a different journey every time you listen to it. I'd say the first time you listen to this album, listen to it front to back, all the way through. Definitely at a time where you can just kind of sit down and just abide. Like, this is definitely an abiding album. But if you don't listen to anything else, please sit down and just take 3 minutes and 59 seconds to listen to Eternal Now.
Exactly.
And just let that world get built for you. And I guarantee you will come out on the other side a little bit different. Because I have listened to this song and cried, and I have listened to this song and just laughed. It is, I cannot express to you how amazing this song is from start to finish. Because it begins and there's a build up, and then there's a little false drop that kind of takes you in a different direction, and just the way it develops until when it finally climaxes and you're just like climaxing, it's incredible. So yeah, that's Ellis Dream, Renegades of Light. Also, artwork wise, super interesting. It's two pyramids. One is inverted. They're blue. And it's like you're in space. It is like every sci-fi nerd's like idea of what it should look like.
Oh wow, yo, this looks like the original artwork for Dune the movie.
Yeah. And all of his visuals are super trippy, hence his name, Ellis Dream. But definitely a producer that is gonna be around for a minute, especially if he keeps putting out a product like this. But yeah, that is Ellis Dream, Renegades of Light.
Man, my boy hype for LS Dream.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, friends, that brings us to the end of our third episode here at Wrapped 2019. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate all of your support. And if you could further support us by following us on all of our social media channels and whatever streaming site that you're using to stream this podcast on, subscribe, like, follow, whatever terminology the kids are using these days. You know. I don't know, Gen Zers, millennials, it's all kind of confusing, right? Anywho,
and if you disagree with anything we've said, please let us know.
Yes.
But be nice. We're sensitive.
Yeah, you can email us at wrappedpodcast@gmail.com, or you can direct message us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, even our personal Instagrams of Colton and Ryan.
Start a convo.
Yes, we will respond to you. We're very open to talking with fans, listeners about their opinions and our opinions of music. Just because music, it makes the world turn.
It does.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Bye.